Hey, future Tyler, when you're editing this, you're making the weirdest fucking face right now. Like, I don't know how to tell you this.
I'll tell. It's kind of hot.
So, future Tyler, Adrian, he's just saying the stupidest shit right now.
No, hey, future Tyler, just crank one out real quick. It'll be easier that way.
Why do you go to the gym while you're doing the podcast?
Yeah, I edit on the tablet while I'm running on a treadmill. Yeah.
That's the fucking dream.
That's actually a thing, isn't it?
I wish I had a treadmill so I could watch TV while I was on the treadmill.
Like, just buy a stand-up desk, buy one of those treadmills that it's just like the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You can just make that a thing.
I mean, I have an exercise bike, and I just put that on the handlebars, basically.
Oh, well.
How often do you go on your exercise bike?
Not as much as I should. Not as much as I should. I had a pretty good regimen of doing it for like 30 minutes every day for a few months, and then I got fat and lazier. And then right now, basically, because I only really give a shit about like cardio.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using the VR headset for cardio mostly.
Mm.
I just watch a Netflix show. Like, I just got through Midnight Mass like 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's
Great show.
Yeah, great show. Way better than Bly Manor.
How far did you get in Bly Manor, by the way?
I finished it.
And you didn't like it?
Are you seriously about to come to me and say Bly Manor is a good show?
Okay, here's the thing. Hill House was amazing. Bly Manor, not even half as good. But it's still, I enjoyed the latter half.
So that's why you back up when I say "but" every time. I caught it that time. Jared
All right.
was fucked up.
Episodes 5 to 9 are about as good as the Hill House.
Here's the thing. I'm going to say some very unkind things.
Sure.
I don't even know what Tyler was about to say.
Oh no, my anecdote doesn't matter anymore.
We're talking about Bly Manor,
Yes.
the absolutely stupendous Bly
It's
Manor.
perfectly splendid.
Oh, there you go.
So you didn't even watch it.
I did. Apparently, I didn't. Apparently, I missed the episodes where it wasn't dog shit.
Well, why do you think
Okay,
it was
God,
dog
you
shit?
sound like
Okay.
Connor talking about Squid Game.
Okay, don't I will say, have you seen Squid Game?
Yes.
What did you think about that?
Most of it was really good up to the end. The last episode was total shit, in my opinion.
You see, our buddy Connor, from my understanding, liked it, and then got to the final episode and was like, "This invalidates my entire experience, and I will never shut the fuck up about it from this point forward."
No, I think he just didn't like it.
Just all the way through.
I will
Okay.
say, I thought it was really boring.
Oh yeah, wait, Squid Game or Bly Manor?
Squid Game.
Okay. Well, here's anything that wasn't a game was very boring. I will admit.
Because like
Yeah, see, you have the problem, because I've heard him complain about this every fucking day for the last month. You had the problem, from my understanding, of they would do the like bullshit anime thing where it would leave the episode on a cliffhanger that essentially the outcome of the cliffhanger was either everyone in the main cast dies or they don't. And so you'd be like, well, I'm on episode 2 of like 9 or however many there are. And you'd be like, well, obviously they don't all die.
Yeah. See, I mean, that only happens once. My main issue with the show is that the protagonist doesn't do anything. Like,
Yeah.
he just sits through the show and he
gets
rides
lucky
along.
so often. And like it's one of those things that like, oh well, fuck, I guess like the one that bothered me was the second to last game they played where they have to like hop across the
Literally,
glass.
I could spend all fucking day talking about how stupid that is.
Yeah, it's like, all right, 15 people went ahead of you, and you got lucky picking the best number possible. And like we're supposed to like, oh, like he barely scraped by it. No, you literally got lucky.
The thing that like boggled my mind is because, all right, so they do the first game. Spoilers.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I don't care for spoilers. My favorite thing about this show now is just trying to piece together all the weird shit people say about
Okay,
it.
one of my biggest complaints was that none of
That
the
they
tasks
use the PlayStation
were
symbols,
solvable.
not the Xbox symbols.
Yeah, like honestly, I did have a problem with that because I was constantly like, "Who are these people?" Like, also, I think we can all agree that B plot goes absolutely fucking nowhere. Impressively nowhere.
Well, that's why I said anything that's not the actual games themselves, I just did not care because the characters were kind of unlikable, except for the old man for most of it.
Yeah.
What episode do the squids show up?
The last one. Now, there's
that was a surprising and concise answer.
Yeah. Like everyone's unlikable except for like the what was he, Indian guy?
Yeah, he was Pakistani, but
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. But for the fucking life of me, every time I watch the show, because I really struggled with everyone's name in the show, because besides the Pakistani guy, I've never heard of those names before. And so the main character's name is Jihan. That one was like, okay, like I'm gonna remember that one because he's the main character.
Jihan, Sung-woo, and
some.
I
don't remember what
Avatar
the Pakistani guy's name is. I literally every time I would just cycle through. I'm like, what Indian names do I know? And I would just cycle through them. Like, none of these. This is just getting more racist as we go.
you just kept repeating Apu in your head over and over.
I'm just like Ali, Ramesh, Ahmed. Oh, that's not even. That's Jeremy. You're killing me.
Robert.
But as I'm watching the show, and it really bugs me because they like establish this of the games are so open-ended where it's like, we just asked you to do one thing. And so I was expecting by the end of the show, the main character was going to be like pulling like a trick to solve the puzzle.
Like sort of task mastering it?
Yeah, that's exact. Because like, all right, so the first one is red light, green light. And one of the first things that one of the characters says is, the camera cannot see you. If the camera can't see you, it can't register you as moving. So some people like hiding behind other people. And you're like, oh, okay. So like we're registering that like they don't get shot immediately. We can assume that that's like fair game. The second one is they're playing a game where this doesn't exist in the US. And so when they're like explaining the thing, I'm like, this is probably something that people immediately recognize.
I didn't understand it until they like actually started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Effectively, I imagine this is not just a Korean thing. Because I was talking to my friend later and he's not Korean, but he was like, yeah, you'll get this at a lot of festivals. Basically, you can buy these wafer cookies, and they have like a pattern imprinted, and it's a game of like they'll give you a needle, and you just want to try to cut the pattern out without cracking the cookie.
Okay.
And that's all they have to do. But the main character gets like an umbrella when everyone else gets like a circle or a square. So his is like way more intricate, and he solves it by licking the cookie to soften it, and then just pokes it through. And you're like, okay, they don't have a problem with that either. So clearly, you can, as long as you get the thing done, they don't care. But then the next one is tug of war, and I'm like, okay, how would this reasonably work? Because there's a spoiler: the old man is the guy who's running the games, and he wants to play. He dies in one of the games, and then reveal, they didn't kill him because he's running the games. But how would they have done that for tug of war?
Oh, dude, yeah, no, there's a ton of times where like, all right, the old man for sure would have that. Like, all right, if he moved an inch, because like they're very strict in that red light, green light. Like if you move like, oh, you like wobble a bit.
Like, is it the point where you basically just have to hold your breath?
Yeah.
All right.
Like, okay, what if you failed that? He's old, he's senile.
Yeah.
What if you failed that? Like, how would you conceal?
Maybe it would just like be able to recognize, oh, it's him.
Fire
a blank.
I would believe that. I would believe that. But for tug of war, they are pulling people
and
off
they're
a
like
platform.
over a pit, right?
Yeah.
I've seen the trailer. At the very least.
But when they first showed tug of war, that was the first time I'm like, there's no solve to this.
Yeah, because I think you explained to me at one point the promise at the beginning of the game was like, any number of you can win. Like everybody staying in this room could get to the end.
That is definitely how I read that.
Doesn't that break the rules then? Because there can only be one.
Yeah, because they're competing against each other. Like that. That would literally, as soon as we got to this, I immediately started going, I don't think I'm going to be into this show. I really started to go downhill because for the most part, the games were a meat grinder. They were just like it was the game of like jump into a meat grinder, and if you don't get hit by any of the blades, you win. I'm like, dude, how would you reasonably do this without plot armor?
That doesn't sound like a childhood game I ever played.
You didn't have a childhood. But the game that like really pissed me off is the one that you just mentioned. There are two bridges.
I know exactly what point too, because it pissed me off too. But anyways,
there are two bridges. Each bridge is a stepping stone.
Can I name one Jeff and one Bo?
You can.
Thank you.
On basically alternating on the bridge, there are not even alternating. It's random. So there are these glass stepping stones, and only one of the stepping stone per like rung is a real one. The one you'll break through one.
It's the levels in Crash Bandicoot that I hated.
But the problem is, so I think even in the episode, a character starts to think through this, and he's like, well, shit, I'm like the fourth person in line, because they're going single file. And he's like, for me to have made it through, it would be like 2 to the 15 power. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really big number. And more importantly, he's not even the first person doing it. Like the guy that's 4 ahead of him would be like 2 to the 19th power. And so it's like, how did this game not constantly end with people being like, shit, no one made it this time? Did anyone make it this time? Nah, no one ever fucking makes it. You guys bet on this? Oh yeah. No, yeah, we all lost our money. No one made it.
I don't know why that reminds me of this, but I remember when I was really young, my dad was watching a show on the Sci-Fi Network. I don't even know what show it was, but I specifically remember they went to this area that had, it was a bunch of people from different time periods, just like frozen in time. And the idea was that there was like a maze, but the walls were invisible. But if you touched the wall, you'd be frozen in time. And I remember what they did is they basically just picked up a bunch of pebbles and they would just throw them in front of them. Mm-hmm. And then if the pebble didn't hit the ground, all right, throw one to the right. All right, didn't hit the ground, throw one to the left. Hit the ground, I guess we're going left. And I don't know why that makes me think of that particular thing that I cannot place where it was from. But I was like, that is, even as a kid, I was like, that is a fascinating concept.
That is effectively how one of the guys, like, this is the first episode. This is the last game, and it is basically the first time someone tries to actually game the system.
Okay.
And because he, like, one dude's like, well, okay, I used to actually be like a glass dude. Like, I used to be a man made of glass, so I know everything about glass. Like, no, he used to install glass.
Oh, okay. I'm like, this went down a different path than I thought of. I didn't realize that X-Men were playing Cephalopod Gambit.
And he's looking at the things, and he's like, look, one of these is supposed to be regular glass, and the other one's plexiglass.
So one is regular, the other is tempered glass.
Tempered glass.
The one that turns into like little beads essentially when it breaks.
And also it's hilarious because they specifically like 2 people can stand on it's enough to support 2 people. The only reason they say that is because at one point 2 people jump onto the same platform, and you're like, if that was one, it would actually make more sense for the game, but the show needed 2 people to be on it. So they're like, no, it holds 2 people. Like, if you need 2 people to be on this, we don't know why. We made it for 2 people. Maybe they were like, in case we just got a fat guy, like, let's make sure that like at least 2 people can.
But then it's still alive because if 2 fat guys get on it.
That's true. Some like as 2 guys are falling, they're like, excuse me.
You said 2 of us could say that.
But some dude's like, okay, look, I used to make glass. There is a slight difference. Like, most people probably wouldn't notice it, but I've seen glass enough. And he's able to look at it and be like, I'm pretty sure these are. And he goes through. And you're like, dude, we're at the last game. Like, how is this the first time that we're seeing someone actually like
use their outside talents to figure this out?
Because the game before this was basically teams of 2 went into a pit and you just fucking murdered the other person. Like, it was like there wasn't really a game to it.
It wasn't. Doesn't seem like a childhood time.
They played marbles, and then the person who lost whatever game, like you could play whatever game you want with the marbles. Person who wins moves forward. Person who loses gets shot.
See, when they first read the rules, I thought the twist was going to be because they said whoever has 10 marbles, and I thought that they were implying because each have 10. I thought the implication was going to be that it's like whoever ends up, maybe they say with all, but I thought the implication was if you just kept the marbles they handed you, you'd be able to walk through.
That's immediately what I thought of when you said that.
But no, you have to win the other person's 10 marbles. That's what it was.
But
so you need 20 marbles.
Yes.
Yeah. But for some reason, that's how I thought the phrasing was kind of going to go. And I was like, oh, okay. And so the issue is he's going to be like, wait a minute, this isn't the game, and then do something else. But no, everyone plays each other. And
question. What if I swallowed one of the marbles?
You would get shot alongside another person.
I still have the marble. Just need to wait a few hours.
Yeah, but you don't have all of your partners.
Yeah, but what if I got all the marbles and then swallowed them?
Then you'd win. Like you're just doing extra credit at that point. You're like
every time I've ever played with marbles, I've swallowed one, Jeremy. I'm just trying to look out for myself.
You would just go to you're like, I swallowed all of them. They'd be like, okay, you're like, all of them are in my stomach right now, and they'd be like, okay, like,
and then I would hop around and you hear them clink around. They'd be like, that sounds like about 20 marbles, and I'd move forward.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
I'm safe.
That was my frustration. Is
sure.
But I will say, like, maybe I wouldn't feel as weird about it if it wasn't so popular.
Dude, I was so mad when the numbers came back and it beat Midnight Mass, which is, in my opinion, one of the
great show.
It's amazing.
And you know what happened in that show? The characters did something. Like that blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, they did something. Everyone had an arc.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And like it said something about religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was all about religion, and like the message was great. Acting was amazing. But people just want to see other people get murdered.
That's true.
The thing that also blew my mind about Midnight Mass is I was like, you're like 4 episodes in out of 7. You're like, why are we watching this slice of life show? Like for a very long time in the show, you're like,
so it Alien. It does the same thing Alien does.
Yeah, like you are, because by the first episode, I was like, I know the monster. I like obviously this is the monster, and I get what's going on. But the show also was like, yeah, no shit, you're gonna know who this is. Like we are not trying to hide it. Like, but that being said, the characters do not, so they are not are not immediately resonating with the.
Not only that, I went into Midnight Mass not knowing anything.
Same.
It was literally sold to me by like, all right, so guy who made Haunting of Hill House, best thing on Netflix, is also making this one. Like he's actually directing, not like Bly Manor.
Yeah.
So
did he not direct Bly Manor?
He didn't direct Bly Manor.
I honestly would argue that because I think he was doing Dr. Sleep at the same time.
Yes.
I would guess he turned in like half a script and they filled it in, because that is why.
Close. He did the script for the first episode, and then his brother did the rest.
Okay. I could
you could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had like an outline, like, all right, this is where it's all gonna go, and then his brother did the rest.
It's so full of plot holes that it bugs me.
That's fair. I enjoyed the latter half. But anyways, if you haven't watched Midnight Mass, don't look like. I don't want to say what type of story it is, because I didn't know, and once I figured it out, it was one of those things like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I did not know it was even a show until it aired. Like my brother came in and was like, "Yo, this show, it's made by
by Mike Flanagan."
Yeah. And I was like, I love me some MF, as I often say.
Yeah.
That's true. He does say that all the time.
So watch Midnight Mass. Also watch Haunting of Hill House, which kind of has something to do with the episode that we're doing today.
Oh ho ho! Welcome back to another episode of
So close.
Crack Open a Cryptid. I'm Tyler Shively.
I'm Adrian Castro.
I'm Jeremy Savage Tate.
The last thing I want to say, by the way, is I saw this. I only saw the headline of this article, but apparently a Squid Game video game is in the works. And I read that headline. I was like, Fall Guys came out last year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While I was watching the show, all I could think of is, this is basically Fall Guys.
Is this why you got back into Fall Guys?
No, it actually, I did it a couple weeks before.
I'm not going to lie. Ever since I watched it, I was thinking, like, I should get back into Fall Guys.
Dude, I'll just be playing anything on my own, and I'll see, like, Andromeda to start playing Fall Guys. Within the next 5 minutes, I will get a Steam message, booding, Andromeda has invited you to come play Fall Guys, and I'd be like, all right, playing Fall Guys.
Thanks for the invite.
You know what?
I'm rarely ever on my PC.
Yeah.
That also being said, yeah, no, we are Steam friends. Like that's
we are.
That's how you know we're real friends. It's because we're friends on Steam. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we once played Dungeons and Dragons.
That's true.
Yeah, we gotta get back. Actually, I have a friend who really wants to play Crash Pandas. If y'all are down.
What's Crash Pandas?
That's the Critical Role raccoon one, right?
It's not from Critical Role.
I thought it was.
It's from some British dude, but it's a tabletop.
Last name Roll, first name Critical.
No, so it's a game. It's a role playing game where everyone plays a raccoon, and the deal is y'all are driving a car and y'all are racing in an underground street race.
And it's a role playing game.
Yeah, it's like D&D, like you roll dice and all that.
So is it supposed to be that we're like
Do I
anthropomorphic
get out of the car at any point?
You can if you want to.
What the? It's like you're describing to me like a game from like a TV show or a movie, and I'm just sitting there like, well, in real life this doesn't have any real rules. Like I don't know how this would play out, but you're just like, oh no, it's real.
Dude, I've never been able to find it again. I forget what it was called, but essentially it was a role playing game where everyone plays the same character. Your name is like Bob, and the whole point of it is like I think it's either like you roll the die to see how long you have control, or at the DM's discretion, you switch control. But it's like 6 people all trying to control one guy to just get through one day of his life. But you're constantly switching control, and everybody has like their own agenda to do with him.
Okay.
And I was like, that seems so fucking fun.
So Crash Pandas is kind of like that, where you like, it's however many raccoons, and you're all controlling the same car. So one person has the steering wheel, the other person has like the gas pedal.
So it's not like you're an anthropomorphic like raccoon where I can steer and hit the pedal at the same time. You're regular pandas in a street car.
Yeah, in a street car against actual humans.
Against humans.
And no one will acknowledge that you're a raccoon.
See, up until this point, I was like, well, I'm probably going to be sitting in the back seat. And like as if I'm prepping for a drive-by.
But here's the thing. Everyone rolls a D20, and everyone gets 2 weapons based on that roll.
Incredible.
So it's either stuff like, you get like a broom handle, or
he gets a fucking Glock.
I think that's one of them.
So can I use the broom handle to push down on the gas while I'm at the steering wheel?
You can, yeah. Or you could throw it out and like fucking, I don't know, nail someone.
Like, do that thing in Indiana Jones where you put in someone's like spokes.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
It's so weird because it's like you're describing to me just a regular board game, but you're implying that it's an RPG. Like, am I wrong? Am I?
No, you're correct.
Well, see, I assume it works in the same way to the one that I can't remember the name of, where like if say, like I'm the DM and Jeremy, you have control of Bob. What do you want to do with Bob? You just woke up. What's the first thing you do?
All right, I make cereal.
All right, roll a d20.
Okay.
And then by my discretion as the DM, it's like, making cereal is probably like a 3. It's an easy thing. But if you roll a 2, I'm like, you spill the milk all over the floor. What's your next move? And then suddenly timer goes off and I'm like, Adrian, there's milk all over the floor. What does Bob do?
I lick it up.
He licks it up. Roll a d20.
I said you look it up like you're like, milk? I've never even heard of it before.
So you roll a d20 and it's like, licking up milk, that can't be that hard. But he rolled like a 19. I'm like, you slurp that shit off the linoleum like you've never slurped before.
I really don't like that sentence at all. If I had a nickel for every time I never wanted to hear that sentence, I would be in the infinities.
I thought you were going to be like, I'd have 1 nickel and it shouldn't have even happened once.
Just consistently live my life with never wanting to hear that.
What
are we talking about today that's even remotely related to not us talking?
About slurping milk off the linoleum?
We're talking about ghosts.
Ghosts?
Haven't we done an episode on ghosts?
No.
Oh.
Not like this.
I do not like the look he gave you. He looked at you like some milk on linoleum.
No, we're actually talking about paranormal photography. Do y'all know anything about paranormal photography?
We take a photo of ghosts.
Yeah.
We've played Phasmophobia. Him more than me. I played for about an hour and a half, said, I'm fucking bored, and returned it.
I've never even heard of that.
Really?
It's a ghost hunting game. To be fair, you also never got to the higher difficulties. But I did say that if you were not having fun now, you probably weren't. It wasn't going to get more fun when you die and you couldn't play it.
Well, the most fun part for me was running into a room and screaming, Mary Thompson, you dumb fucking idiot. Come kill me, Mary Thompson. And then Julian quietly in the background being like, you really shouldn't provoke it like that. Like, Mary Thompson.
Someone's going to be really freaked out if that's their actual name while they're listening to this.
Use the spork, Mary Thompson.
All right. So we're talking about people taking. Oh, these are photos of ghosts.
So these are photos of ghosts. Yes. So
great medium for a podcast.
Yeah. Spiritualism, the belief that spirits of the dead have the ability to communicate with the living. So all of that.
Is that what that word means?
Yeah.
I would just figured someone's just all hippie.
I know.
All hippy dippy.
Yeah. Well, it's not the same spirituality.
He's got me there. He's right. That is what I was thinking. Go on.
I didn't know that was a difference. Anyways, so all of that, there was kind of a boom around the 1840s to about the 1920s in English-speaking countries of spiritualism. Reason being, were these 2 sisters, the Fox sisters.
Sound foxy.
Kind of. So.
What do you mean, kind of?
So they convinced their mother and basically everyone in their town that they could talk to ghosts and that they were like being possessed and like doing all this shit. Like there were like knockings on knockings on the walls. Like they would be like
rapping at my chamber door.
Yeah. So like people would come from all over.
Nevermore.
Yes.
All right, just making sure.
So like there were people that would come like from all over, and like they'd be like, like they would sit at a table, and all of a sudden you'd hear a, and we'd be like, "Did you hear that? That's a ghost. They're trying to communicate with you."
And they're kneeing the knocker under the table.
So it's weird how they used to do it. Apparently, like they could like crack their toes to make it sound like it's coming.
That's so much worse.
Stupid.
That's
Here,
so much worse.
Check this shit out. Just knocked on the bottom of the table. Sounded exactly the same.
Yeah, but to be fair, I saw you knock on the bottom of the table.
No, yeah, they would.
Yeah,
like,
look at Adrian.
Oh man, the table's shaking. We must be having an earthquake during this.
During this haunting, yes, they are very closely related. Shakes up the burial grounds.
You hear that door? Well, this table's shaking is unrelated.
Yeah, so that should happen. People were like going nuts, like holy shit, these women, like these little girls, could talk to ghosts.
I'm amazed they didn't try and kill them as witches.
Right? Well, 1840s, was that around?
But people still want to kill witches.
So heated debate over the validity of this started happening even at the time. But this is the first time that, these two sisters, the Fox sisters, are considered to be the world's first mediums.
So they just started a long line of bullshit and lies.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the same era was ripe with scientific inquiry, steeped in the analysis of evidence, and social reforms that disrupted the status quo and improved the status of women. Other sociological factors, from the rise of industrialization and rapid overcrowding and disease with urban centers to the devastation of the Civil War, led to widespread preoccupation with the dead among the general public.
There was a lot of words you just threw at me.
I know.
A lot of people were dying next to you, so you're more likely to associate with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
My story, by the way, from earlier ended with me. I potentially have a concussion. So, the one I was going to tell at the beginning. So, I am lost.
I love the fact that not only did the listeners not have context to that sentence, neither do we. Like,
wait,
long story short, I fucking fell and ate shit this morning, and my head is hurt all day long.
Well, look at me. Your eyes don't.
Well, I mean, my girlfriend's an athletic trainer, and she was like,
I think we know what a therapist for athletes does.
"Oh my god, she will murder you." No, yeah, she was basically like, "Do you have any of these symptoms?" And it was kind of annoying because she was like, "Are you sensitive to light? Like, does your head hurt? Do you what was it? Fucking Jesus Christ!" It was like,
"Are you having problems with memory?"
It was like, "Are you like oddly drowsy?" And the thing is, I'm always sensitive to light. My head always hurts, and I'm always drowsy. So it's kind of hard to tell.
I feel like there is a difference between there's a sun in my eyes and I'm sensitive to light though.
Oh yeah, I hate being in this room. It's white, and there's a lot of lights in here.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
How did you potentially
Okay,
concuss
How are we
yourself?
learning about this now?
So I woke up this morning, and I was like, "Damn, do I got to take a piss?" And I just normally got out of bed. I put all my weight on my right foot, which I didn't realize was completely asleep, and I crumbled to the floor, grabbed the drapes next to me, pulled them off their hinge, slammed my head on the wall, hit the ground, and then the pole hit me in the front of the head. And I laid there just going like, oh. And Meg gets up and she's like, "What the fuck happened? Are you okay?" And I was like, I'm fine. And then I just stood up, looked at the ruined drapes, and I believe I said, "I don't know how to fix that right now." And then I peed and went back to bed, which probably was not a good plan.
I love how you fell like you were like Mr. Magoo.
Dude, it was there's like a nightstand right next to me that has like a glass top to it. I slammed my elbow into that so hard that I was convinced I shattered it, but then I stood up and it was fine. I'm amazed all I fucked up were the drapes, which I did figure out how to fix later.
Did you put them on the hooks?
It has a weird setup that's stupider than any drapes I've ever seen, which is why I was like, and I knew that, and I was like, I don't know how to fix that right now.
And you let all the sun in. You're like, oh, I'm so sensitive to this right now.
Genuinely, it did let all the sun in, and I wanted to die. I had a rough morning.
Well, why does your foot being asleep make it like non-corporeal?
Have you never had like it was probably more of like my whole fucking leg was asleep. I just remember feeling the tinglies in my foot. Have you never had like so much of your leg or your foot be asleep that when you put weight on it, you just fall over because you can't like feel it?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
It's happened to me before. I haven't eaten shit, but I've had it where I've been like sitting weird and one of my legs is asleep and I stand up all wobbly and I'm like, oof. But I was also like 10% awake, so that probably didn't help.
That's different than like you just completely falling over after like.
What's weird too is I was I fell in the opposite direction of where I was like trying to move, which makes no sense to me. Where it's like I was leaning forward but fell backwards. I don't really know what happened. I was very much not awake.
Well, your knee probably buckled.
Probably, yeah. Would that lead to me falling backwards?
Oh, just like you're, yeah.
All right. That was my morning though. So I'm having a hard time following a lot of things.
I'm glad you told us that like an hour after we've been talking.
After I drove all the way here and have been drinking all night, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like 4 hours. Holy shit.
What?
Well.
Oh yeah, I came here early. That's right.
I thought you were just like, since we started, it's been 4 hours. I'm like, God, that
it's
T-Shao
10?
conversation really took us.
I'll try because a lot of this is.
You don't
is
need
like
it.
that.
It's fine.
I'll dumb it down.
As long as I understand what's happening, it's fine.
All right. So everyone around this time, like, there were so many people dying that like everyone was like super sensitive. So it kind of what?
That was like the most insensitive. Oh my God, people are just fucking dying all the time, and they were just not stop bitching about it. Am I right?
Yeah, so everyone was like super sensitive about it.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. Did your mom die? Oh, pussy, you gonna fucking cry about it? You're like going to kid. You're like, oh, do you miss your mommy?
Yeah, so like obviously
I'm really sorry to interrupt. Can I tell you something that's really bothering me?
I'm sure you will anyways, regardless if we say yes.
So Adrian's wearing this shirt that has a Rubik's Cube on it, but the problem is cubes, by definition.
It's a color chart.
No, but cubes by definition have 6 sides. And there's way more than 6 colors on that cube. How would you solve that Rubik's Cube?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think you have a concussion.
It's been bugging me literally since I got here.
Because here's the thing.
How would you solve that Rubik's Cube?
Arguably, it is currently solved now, for it matches the pattern. So you would take the pattern that isn't that, and you would put it in that pattern.
Does that check out, Adrian?
Yes.
You're the Rubik's Cube guy.
What is the shirt of?
All right, so originally it had like components.
What does that mean?
He's taking his shirt off.
What the fuck?
I ripped it out. So this shirt used to light up. So I used to.
And I have the concussion.
So like right out of high school, I needed money, and like gigs weren't doing it enough. So
I got really into custom shirts.
No, I started DJing.
God, I really wish you continued watching. I think you should leave. Because there's an episode that is this, basically.
You got into DJing, and you thought your edge was like the shirt's gonna light up along with everything else.
It fucking worked, all right? People loved me. And then like
did it plug into the music? Did it run like on a MIDI?
No,
that's
so
actually
fucking
dope.
cool.
That's actually dope. I'm on board
so
now.
like,
and then you
like,
fucked it up and put a fake Rubik's Cube on it that can't be solved?
No. So like all of this used to light up, and like the cable used to run through like to like a pack that had a microphone. So like the microphone would hear the music and it would just light up to the music. Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking gangster.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. And then one day I lost the pack, so the shirt became useless.
That is so sad.
That you're telling that's like a weird fantasy story. It's like and then the shirt lost its power, only to be found by a young DJ, unaware.
And that DJ's name, Albert Einstein.
Okay, please continue before his concussion derails me.
I know. We have a lot to get through.
Oh, good.
But I'll try to keep it short. So, because of this, like, there were people that were, like, obviously going to... Oh.
Do it. Not bad.
No. So, certain people decided to, like, people are getting emotional. Let's try to take advantage of this. Enter the first official spirit photograph credited to Boston-based photographer William H. Mumler in 1861.
Oh, what an unfortunate name.
Yeah. So he used to be a jeweler, and he enjoyed experimenting with the new science at that time of photography. Yeah, so he was trained as a jeweler and enjoyed experimenting with, at that point, the new science of photography. His initial spirit photograph was a self-portrait that, upon development, was found to include a ghost-like presence, which he claimed to resemble a long-deceased cousin. The mysterious image became widely circulated and published in such popular spiritualist newspapers as the Banner of Light. So basically, homie photoshopped a photo of someone and then told everyone, like, oh, it's my cousin that died.
It reminds
and
me
became
of the
famous. Yeah.
It reminds me of the image from Amityville, where it was just like some lady.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
the boy in the striped
yeah.
pajamas, but not like the sad movie.
He also wasn't in striped pajamas. You just said that because you wanted to.
Was it not striped pajamas?
I don't. You just see his face, don't you?
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be like a blonde kid in striped pajamas.
His hair's black.
Yeah, no, I think it's just his face.
I gotta see a doctor.
Sure. But anyways, so he, like, after this, he just went full-time into photography. He opened up a studio in Boston. His wife, Hannah, who had a reputation as a clairvoyant, often greeted clients on arrival and then commented about the spirits surrounding them. So,
Is that the power of a clairvoyant?
apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get clear vision is what that means, so.
What do you call a girl named Claire who floats? That one was clairvoyant.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie. When you said that, I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to get voyant out of that?
Just talk.
So, at the height of his success, Mumler
Stop
charged...
looking at me.
Yeah, so this dude, at the height of his success, charged $10 for a dozen photographs. Mind you, this was the 1860s.
It's basically $1 million.
Basically, yeah.
That's about $100.
Yeah.
Which is like $1 million.
So he would charge $10 for people to come in, take a dozen photographs, with no guarantee that a spirit would be captured.
Oh my god, what a fucking ruse.
Yeah,
Did anyone leave with one?
Sometimes they didn't. So, like, people had to keep
What do you
coming
mean
back.
sometimes
and
they
then,
didn't?
Yeah, no, sometimes people would come,
Don't
take
you
a
mean
dozen...
don't you mean usually they didn't?
Yeah. So, like, people would come in like, you know what? A spirit didn't show this time. You want to, like, do a session next week?
Man. What a time to be alive.
Yeah. Over time, again, the validity of this guy's photographs fell into question, as some of the spirits they contained were said to resemble people that were still alive. Business began to fall off, so he relocated to New York in 1868, where he regained short-lived successes. In March 1869, a client visited Mumler asking for a portrait with a dead relative. After paying for a photograph that did not include the spirit that he was promised, the sitter revealed himself as a New York City marshal. Yeah.
I love that he still paid for it.
Right. So it was part of a... He went in undercover.
It was a sting.
Yeah, it was a sting. So Mumler's arrest and subsequent trial made a huge spectacle at the time, drawing a crowd ranging from numerous spiritual supporters to one P.T. Barnum.
Of course, Barnum shows up.
Yeah. And
Hugh Jackman ass motherfucker.
yeah, so Barnum showed up to testify against Mumler.
Only one freak show in this town.
Yeah.
I just want to imagine that his wife was like calling witnesses and they were just ghosts. So it'd just be the stand. She'd be like, yeah, well, Sarah Thompson, she says he can take photos of ghosts. What was that, Sarah? Oh yeah, no, yeah. She also says you're all stupid.
Sarah, what was that, Sarah? One more thing. She also says you have a tiny penis.
So, although Mumler was ultimately acquitted of any crime,
Because did he really commit one?
Not. I mean, it
Uh,
basically
fraud.
false advertisement. Yeah.
Would it be though? Because he never promised you would get a picture with the ghost. He said you might.
I believe that 100% is fraud. You
I need to call someone.
Yeah. So no, acquitted of all crimes, he returned to Boston, and immediately after the trial, and just never really got the same publicity anymore until 1871, where he made his most famous photograph, where it was a portrait of Mary Todd Lincoln with an apparition of her dead husband, former president,
Yes.
standing behind her.
I've seen that. I've actually heard of this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, man, this guy gives me the same vibe as that the Hodunk hunter dude who had multiple fake Bigfoot bodies.
Yeah.
Same vibe, same scam. Really.
Is there a photo of
I mean,
Dinkin? Dead
I'm
Lincoln?
sure there
Oh,
is.
dead Lincoln, of course.
Well, go ahead and look
Not
it
to
up.
be confused with dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
What
So
about Larry Todd? Live Mary Todd.
Not to be confused with Larry King.
by the way, this portrait of her with a ghost of Abraham Lincoln, this was the last known photo taken of Mary Todd before she died in 1882.
That's how I know the story.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Mary Todd, ugly. Second of all,
Are you kidding me? She's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead in
This
that one movie.
no, this can't. This is not how I remember the image. I think I've seen an artist representation of the image because this is the dumbest shit I've ever fucking
Oh yeah,
seen.
that's exactly what they all look like. By the way, I should have
it looks
included
like
a
double
gal.
exposure.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really does.
It actually is. That's
Oh,
actually
okay,
what it is.
Yeah.
Because I do know for a fact that a lot of early paranormal photography was literally just double
Yeah,
exposures.
so that he was basically, again, this was a
for anybody
brand
looking
new
for it, by the
science,
way,
yeah.
all I googled was Mary Todd portrait with dead Lincoln.
So there's a whole gallery of this guy's photos, and yeah, a ton of them are just they're just
Someone
double
reversed
exposure.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm looking at that photo now, and this is not a great photo to, not a great thing to talk about for a podcast, but if you look at Lincoln Ghost pictures, what I typed in, and you get a lot of references to them. There's one of a man with some incredible sideburns looking
Yes,
down.
yeah, the one where it's reversed, right, with Mary Todd
see.
behind him.
Yeah.
The one I just showed you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I imagine that's another photo.
Oh, I assumed it was supposed to be Lincoln with Mary Todd behind.
Wait, what is,
Oh, no.
is a ghost taking a photo of live Mary
Well, no,
Todd?
I thought it was. I thought it was like a Photoshop meant to be
I
a
see.
joke or reverse them. But no, it's from the same website.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
with the
so-
guy's pictures.
I just like two people have to
Yeah,
sit
no,
on either end of the of reality and be like, take the photo now, otherwise it won't work.
Oh my god, I'm just scrolling down this website. These are all just double exposures.
yeah.
Man, it is really bad when a bunch of film students look at these and it's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, so again, this was a brand new science. Nobody knew what double exposure photography even was. He basically invented it. So
I don't actually. You just,
he
you just
might
take a
not-
photo over
Over
another
another
essentially,
photo.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's where spirit photography really started. As ownerships of cameras grew, spirit photography boomed. By the 1880s, anybody could pick up a camera and take a picture. It opened the door for some charlatans that were keen to lead people on and play on people's emotions.
I love that word, charlatan. That's a good word.
That's a word that needs to come back.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean it's still used, but yeah, no. Yeah.
But it needs to be used more.
I'll tell you, it was a charlatan, Chalamet.
So anyways, so around this period, one of the most famous spirit photographs was taken in 1891. Sybil Corbet was taking a photograph of the library at Combermere Abbey in Cheshire, England.
None of these words sound easy to say.
Yeah, no.
What the fuck is the UK doing?
I know. So it's a photo of this library, and sat in the chair in the foreground of the shot was a faint outline of a man's head, collar, and right arm. It is said to be the ghost of Lord Combermere, who had recently died in a riding accident and who was being buried at the time the picture was taken. The photographic exposure took an hour, leading many skeptics to suggest that a servant had just entered the
Walked
room
in.
and briefly sat in the chair while the exposure took place. However, most household staff claimed that they were all at Combermere's funeral at the time. So here's the photograph.
See this shit. Let me see this shit.
Yeah. So he's.
It's literally a double exposure.
Well, it's not going to be a real fucking ghost this time.
You don't know that.
Yeah. So.
Also, definitely looked up that Amityville image. Dark hair. Can't see what he's wearing.
You're literally like, I remember because the kid's talking to him through the fence.
Dude, this is just another Plo Koon as a yellow lightsaber.
Jeremy, get on that. The fucking Mandela Effect episode.
You do the fucking episode, you prick.
I don't know why everyone's getting so mad at me all of a sudden. It's only been a year.
I have a concussion. You have to do it.
That's fair.
By World War I, spiritualism and spirit photography had gained some notable supporters, including novelist Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't say that.
Arthur Conan the Barbarian, my favorite author.
Doyle, yes.
You wrote Sherlock Holmes.
I do know that. I read Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Yeah. What? Anyways, so he was a member of something called the Ghost Club.
Which GC?
Yeah,
as
the
they
Ghost
probably
Club.
called it.
Because you're so good at coming up with acronyms and cool acronyms for things.
Just like TM.
So that was a club in the early 1900s where people would just like get together and show off their spirit photography.
It's literally just Amityville with the what do they call it? The psychic slumber party.
Basically,
Wait,
yeah.
Did they know? Like they were all aware. They weren't like, oh, like I hope no one realizes that I'm the odd one out.
Yeah, like that is the thing, right? Because they all must know that I did this by doing a double exposure, and so then they go and they're like, all right, mine's a fraud, but I have to cover for myself. Oh, wow, that's a cool ghost you got there. Almost as cool as my ghost. It's like they all had to have known, like, that's a double exposure. Because that's what I did.
So, in 1936, two men from Country Life magazine were pictured standing at the bottom of a grand staircase in Rainham Hall, Norfolk, England. God damn it, UK, fix your names.
Dude, honestly, just rename everything.
What are you trying to read?
Rainham Hall, Norfolk, England. I'm pretty sure I said that right.
He has British relatives.
Oh, yeah. Can you read this?
This is like when anything is in vaguely anything even Latin related.
You got
like,
Norfolk right.
This. I imagine he got Norfolk right.
Yeah.
Is it Rainham?
Honestly, the trick to it is it is usually a
just remove like crushed, 3 syllables.
Rainham?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know how that is actually pronounced, but they would not be that phonetical about their.
Gotcha. So photographer Captain Hubert Proven and his assistant Inder Shira had been about taken.
Someone trying to Google alongside this is like, okay.
Can you show that one more time for me?
All right. So it's
Captain Hook and his boy servant named
Indra Shira, Indre.
Oh. Yeah, Indoshira.
All right, well,
Yeah.
that solves that.
Yeah.
Good work, boys. We did it.
So
we solved it.
Yeah, so they were taking a photo of the main staircase when Shira suddenly saw, quote, a vapory form gradually assuming the appearance of a woman, heading down the stairs towards them. Seconds later, a photo had been hastily captured. The image was published in Country Life and dubbed The Brown Lady.
Nah. And name didn't age too well.
No, it did not. It's currently the most famous spiritual photograph of all time.
Probably seen it. Then it's probably
You've probably seen it. So I'll.
Oh, it's
I've
that
seen
one.
that one.
Yeah, absolutely the most famous one. Holy shit!
Yeah.
And that's also a double exposure? They didn't just take a photo
No,
of a
that
ghost?
one's
So-
a real ghost.
So hang on. So some believed that it was the figure of Lady Dorothy Townshend, who was said to have haunted the hall since her mysterious death in 1726. Famous paranormal researcher Harry Price was of the opinion that the photographic evidence was untampered. Now, I say paranormal research, but really he was one of the only people at this time that widely liked to debunk everything.
Thank God.
Yeah, no. So like this guy, like he called bullshit on basically everything. He would be that type of person. He would
he's
be
Jeremy's
like a Jeremy.
ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he'd be like, wait, no.
He's coming out and he's like, listen here, brother. Zippers cannot freeze. That's a double exposure.
When have I ever said zippers cannot freeze? I feel like that might be attributed to someone else.
Oh, I did say that wrong, didn't I? I legit didn't even think I was doing that. I just said that wrong.
You're like, we all know this. Like, I'm not going to specify.
Yeah, I know zippers can't freeze. Jeremy attests that zippers can't freeze. And I know Adrian says every morning when he wakes up, he looks in the mirror and he says, my name is Adrian Castro, and I firmly believe that zippers cannot freeze. We've all said it at least once.
Both Adrian and I have also famously never just stood up and died because our leg fell asleep.
You know, an idiot would do that. Anyway, so there's a ghost.
Yeah, so this guy, Harry Price, usually goes in and like, all right, so what's the thing? All right, so this is probably what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, he says, you know what, the photo is untampered. So quote from him, I mean,
a double exposure isn't tampered.
No, but you for the most part, like you could, like he would be like, all right, so this is probably what happened. You did this, like he would be well researched in all of this.
I feel like also that you are not using the word tampered. I feel like that is tampering with the.
Well, no, it's just taking a double exposure. A tamper would be if you painted on it, kind of thing.
I think you are reading into just your definition of tampered, because I think tampered just you've influenced it in a way that it wasn't intended.
Liar.
All right,
Okay.
so this was a quote from Harry Price. I will say at once, I was impressed. I was told a perfectly simple story. Mr. Inder Shira saw the apparition descending the stair at the precise moment when Captain Proven's head was under the black cloth. So,
yeah, because old cameras, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they basically just used to explode phosphorus and that was the flash?
They didn't have flashes this early.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But the thing I'm thinking of where they put their head and then like...
No. They did have flash bulbs because, so the quote says...
What year is this?
This was 19...
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, then already.
This was 1936.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, they did. I thought we were stuck.
No,
you thought we were still like in the 1800s?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. This was several years after like people's like cameras.
He was still putting his head under the hood.
Yeah,
in 36.
Mm-hmm. That was still a thing. Apparently.
Wait, yeah. Hold on. What the fuck?
Yeah, because they definitely didn't
had better cameras at that point.
Uh-huh.
They were making movies at this point.
No, they weren't. Oh wait, yeah, no, they
yes,
were.
They were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Apparently, the movie I saw that came out in 1922 didn't come out that year.
You're telling me the Great Train Robbery is a farce? It's been tampered with?
Of course it has. It's been edited.
I want to point out,
got me there.
The Great Train Robbery famously is like entirely a double exposure.
Well, it was one of the first technically composites, right? Because there's this scene at the train station.
It's okay. If you've ever seen the movie, there are shots where the train is going by, like, and you look through the windows.
Yeah.
It's
that's composited in, isn't it?
Yeah, they effectively they would do it as they shot through a piece of glass. I know that you're like, Jesus Christ, Jimmy, shut the fuck up.
We're talking about the same thing, yeah.
They basically painted parts of the glass black so that light couldn't go through and it wouldn't expose on that, and then they would put a negative and shoot the plate of the things going by.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was, but my point is like that composite is effectively, but it was not the first one. It wasn't
okay. We did have a professor in college though, who insisted like the Great Train Robbery is technically the very first use of the dolly shot, because a lot of the shots on the train was moving. So technically it was just on a really big dolly.
All right, so this was during the time flashes did exist, and yes, you had to put your head under a cloth.
I don't think he had to.
I think he was probably rocking an older camera.
Yeah, maybe. So, the story that he was told was a shout, and the cap was off, and the flashbolt fired, with the results which we now see. I could not shake their story, and I had no right to disbelieve them.
Wait, so he was there when the photograph was taken?
No. This was like afterwards. So
how does he know it wasn't tampered with then?
But it like he had a really strong bullshit detector.
All right.
I guess. Only collusion between the two men would account for the ghost if it is a fake. So I'm assuming he interviewed them separately, and both of their stories matched up.
Lined up. Yeah. Okay.
The negative is entirely innocent of any faking. So
I was taking a sip at the time, but I meant to say, what?
All right. So it was later, people kept trying to debunk this for years, for decades. The closest anyone has ever gotten to oh, well, this is probably what happened was that oh, maybe it was a shaking of the camera that created because it was long exposure.
I think he just had some scotch tape on the lens.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, sorry, have you shown what the photo looks like? Is it the stairway?
Yeah, it's a stairway one.
Yeah, it's this one.
It's the most famous ghost
but
picture.
That wouldn't apply to the whole frame would be
fucked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But tell me that doesn't look a little bit
it kind of looks like someone's shining a bright light.
I could also see
that's a fucking lens flare.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Sorry,
it kind of does look like a lens flare, yeah.
Because is that not a window right behind them?
Yeah, up at the top, right?
Or is that a painting?
It looks like there's light coming from.
Is that
here.
a really
there's
fancy
a
painting?
window right here, which might
and you can see the reflection of the flash bulb on that as well.
Which it honestly, now that I'm looking about it,
is that
the it's kind of the same shape.
Am I making up the fact that there's a window at the top, or is that
at the top?
painting?
No, I think that's a window as well.
Is it?
I believe so.
Oh no, that's a
maybe
wall. Okay.
Okay, and it's just the flash being reflected off the wall, essentially.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get a flash bright enough to get that lens flare, though.
On those shitty cameras?
Yeah.
On those ancient shitty cameras, I'm pretty sure you could.
Mm-hmm. But that's the best that anybody has gotten.
Kind of looks like he just kind of put his greasy peanut butter finger on the lens.
I'd believe that as well.
Possibly. So, fast forward to today.
All right. Go.
3 podcasters do not know what they're talking about.
So, today's digital cameras are just as likely to create a fake haunting.
A faunting, if you will.
That's true.
Interesting term.
Yes. So they're arguably the most famous spiritual photograph today is one of the Gray Lady of Hampton Court, and I have a photo right here. So it was 2 sisters visiting this house. That's manor really, that is said to be haunted by various ghosts. Well, at some point, one of the girls snaps a series of photos on her iPhone.
I have not seen this one.
And in one photo,
there's just a fucking Cthulhu monster?
Yeah, so it's a tall ass lady just staring over her sister.
No, it looks like when you fuck up a panoramic image.
It's so
not ghostly.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm totally seeing here, because I realize I'm not in my microphone. Bullshit is what I'm seeing. If I could describe that,
it definitely looks like a panoramic image gone wrong, where it's the hair is clearly, you can see all the hair. It looks like it's just a coat that's been accidentally copy pasted from a fake.
But the panorama would have to be going up to down, and you'd see that everywhere else.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying that
I see
exclusively. That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's how they did it.
This literally looks like. Where are they?
It's in Hampton Court. I'm assuming England.
Yeah. The reason why I say that is because,
also she's not wearing gray. That's bluish.
Yeah, in northern England, there's a town called, I think that town's called Anwick, but it has a castle called Annick. You don't pronounce the W for the castle, but you do for the town.
Fix your names, England.
Seriously.
But it's where they shot the first couple Harry Potter movies. But it is basically a camera a castle that never lost. It's still in use. The Duke of the area still lives there. But they give tours in it. That place looks literally identical to what their castle looked like.
Oh, that's...
Except there's way less bionicles in this than there is in the castle.
Bionic?
I'm sorry, yeah, back up?
We're literally, you walk around that and you're like, there are a lot of bionicles in this castle.
This isn't a bit?
No.
There's just a lot of
bionicles. Huge amount of bionicles.
The dude's just really into bionicles?
Clearly their kids are just oh man, people are coming through here. So they've just propped, you're walking around, there's there's so much art and stuff, and you're oh, this gotta be very expensive. And then on the table, there's just like a fucking battle going on between Bionicles, and you're like, that's pretty rad.
I love that. I love that.
If I were a kid who lived in one of these manors, I would do the exact same
Oh, if
thing.
I were a kid who lived in one of these manors, you know I'd be a ghost. Like, I would be acting like a ghost every single day.
Yeah. So, giant lady in Hampton Court. So, unlike analog film, phones tend to take a photo in stages.
Yeah.
In the same way that a scanner moves over a piece of paper.
Yeah, like those pictures where people take a photo right when like a lightning strike happens and the lightning's only happening like half the image.
Yeah. So it's a slower process, especially in darker places where the camera's phone image sensors need more time to record enough picture information. Can't believe I got through that sentence without stumbling.
So you're essentially saying it's an artificial long exposure.
Essentially, yeah.
And we got but it's of her walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like probably into the lens and then turning to walk through the door.
Why would she be tall? Oh, because she's in front of the.
front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So if my eyes are the camera, she
yeah.
like walks forward and then turns.
It's amazing how they got that image, and their first thought wasn't like, "Oh, that's probably a mistake, right?"
Yeah.
No, because like first off, these girls are like in their teens, or like at least early 20s.
No excuse.
But like,
What do you mean? Why is it early 20s like the cutoff point? You're like, hold on, they were in their early 20s.
well, I'm gonna be honest. I saw a picture of the two girls who took
No,
this photo.
I did too.
They do look like they're like 17.
Yeah,
Like max.
like imagine you're that age. You just take a few photos with your iPhone, not knowing anything about cameras, mind you,
Mhm.
and you look back at the photos and that's in one of them.
I'd still probably be like, that's fucking weird. How'd that happen?
I would literally be going around being like, yo, I just saw this ghost, and be like, really? I'm like, nah, it's probably someone else. But
Well, also, I just want to say, if I'm thinking like this is a paranormal thing, my first thought wouldn't be ghost. There's nothing ghostly about that image. If anything, it's like there's like a demon, I guess. Like I don't fucking. It's not a ghost.
you're like, this is actually an alien.
Why you gotta call me out like that? Of course it's an alien. You think I don't think it's a fucking alien? That's clearly a Pleiadian that fucked up and got caught on camera.
So
There's a war coming, and you best be prepared.
this is called image aliasing. This process where
Okay. Yeah.
So anything moving through the shot at the time could just become distorted or like paint itself and then, appear weird as shit. So like it's around this time where like you see ghost photography reborn in internet memes like Slender Man.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
And what was the recent Siren Head or something?
Yeah. So like by now people should know better, but like people are still getting tricked by shit like this, by like technology fucking up. And I mean, okay, despite our knowledge of computer generated trickery in phones, it seems some are still willing to believe that spirits are captured on camera. So according to a Harris poll from 2013, 42% of Americans believe in ghosts.
2013. That is when the Tomb Raider reboot was released.
Yes, correct. It's really good if you haven't played it.
It's actually quite good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's basically Uncharted,
Yeah.
but well, it's fine. So 42% of Americans believe in ghosts. A similar poll in 2014 by YouGov suggests 39% of UK citizens believe a house can be haunted.
Isn't that just like saying I think ghosts exist?
Essentially,
I guess
yeah.
it was a different question that was posed.
I guess the funny thing to me is that it implies that they're like, I don't think ghosts are haunting, but like, I guess if they really wanted to, they could be haunting,
That's essentially what I'm getting at. Where
Yeah.
it's like it must have just been a different question that was posed.
So I will leave this off with a quote from this B&H worker, whatever, that like wrote this article that decided to be all poetic at the end.
B&H is
B&H. That is
the Jewish camera store.
Are they Jewish?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That like they don't even their website is literally down on the Sabbath. They're
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you got really
That wasn't just a weird bit where I'm just like, what if it was a camera store, but it had like what if it was like another religion?
So decided to become super poetic at the end. Like the ghostly apparitions themselves, our thirst to see life beyond this mortal coil itself might itself be immortal, ever shape-shifting to fit the technology and science of the time.
So basically, it's a very pretty way of saying like, yeah, some people just want to believe in bullshit.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
I get that.
You saw Midnight Mass. You know that people will
Dude,
believe in
people,
it.
yeah, that's a show where people are midnighting that mass so hard.
Oh my god, that mass basically 12 o'clock
Yeah, PM.
a.m.
Yeah, but plus 12. You know what AM and PM stand for?
Isn't 12 a.m. midnight?
It is. Why are you like being weird about it?
What do you mean?
He got a concussion. Leave him alone.
Wait, but I'm right.
Yeah.
So why did you correct me?
Nobody said anything.
What the fuck are you? He's gaslighting my ass.
What the fuck just
Are
happened?
you okay, Tyler?
I said it's like mass, but at 12 a.m. And then you said p.m. and I said a.m. and then you said, yeah, but plus 12. So yours would have been afternoon mass.
Literally none of that sentence happened.
You're actually.
You
fucking-
were just like, yeah,
No,
12 a.m. and
I know
said,
you're
yeah.
gaslighting me because you're making goofy fucking faces to pretend like you're right.
What?
When you are actually correcting me, you are stonewall.
Buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't correct you.
That's the funniest joke ever told.
I don't. This guy?
How do you know who this guy is?
Crazy. You're so crazy. Nah, but the point is, when I said plus 12, I was saying like it's noon plus 12 brings it at midnight. So I was
Oh,
fixing
okay.
it.
I see. I thought you were saying the mine plus 12 is p.m.,
No,
which is
no.
true, but just not what we were discussing.
Do you know what AM and PM stand for?
No.
I had to look this up earlier because I was blown away by it. Do you know what it stands
I
for?
have no idea.
Do you have any idea what it could?
When I think of A and P, I think Atlantic
Well,
and Pacific.
okay, so
but
I'm
I doubt
assuming
that's it.
A and P like post something and no, I have no idea.
You are actually
yeah,
correct.
After
It is
and post. Yeah.
It's not after and post because after and post would be
Or
the
the
same
same
thing.
exact thing.
It's
That's correct.
anti and post. It's
Oh.
anti-meridian and post-meridian.
Oh,
And it
okay.
literally just means it's past the middle.
meridian, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what is AM and FM?
That stands for
After
anti-
meridian and fafter meridian?